Hi folks, welcome back. All returning to normal after my vacation or holiday break. It's lovely to be back and I'm looking forward to choosing August's reading. As usual, we will be using the Bingo Balls of Fate with the addition of the Decision Dice of Destiny, or Decision Die of Destiny actually, to determine which shelf I will pick from and then which book on that shelf I will choose. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, let us see what the Bingo Balls of Fate have in store for us in August. First out of the traps is shelf 55. So annoyingly for my knees, this is shelf 55. It's right at the bottom in the corner here. It's a bit difficult to get to. So whilst the Baxter books are missing the first one, Raft, I'm assured that they can be read in any order. I would take any one of those. I would also like to read Empire of Fear by Brian Stableford, which is more of a vampire tale. If you force me to pick one of the Clarks, I think it would probably be Hammer of God. So I'll go with that. And then I have read Aurora, but I'd like to reread it. Tell me that. That's 6. The Die of Destiny for shelf 55 is number 5. So unfortunately that rules out the Baxters and the Stableford and even the Kim Stanley Robinson, leaving, slightly disappointingly if I'm completely honest, The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke. But let's give it a bash. Might be good. Shelf 31. Okay, this is shelf 31. So I would like to read That's a Short Story Collection, tribute to Eric Brown. I don't think I can pick Evening's Empires because it's late in the series, I believe. Beyond the Burn Line of Red, there's another Chris Beckett short story collection. I haven't read Beneath the World of Sea. I have read those two. I haven't read Marcher or America City or Two Tribes. 1, 2, 3. Let's put that short story back. So 5 Chris Beckett novels and an Eric Brown tribute short story collection up for grabs. Dice of Destiny for shelf 31. A 2. Okay, it's not To the Stars and Back, but it is Beneath the World of Sea. Lovely. Shelf 17. So this is shelf 17, which is very interesting indeed. I have long bemoaned J.G. Ballard as an author that I couldn't really get into, and I've been advised to read some of his earlier works or his short story works. So let's see if I can find a couple. The Drought, I believe, is an early disaster book. Low Flying Aircraft is short stories, I believe. I haven't read The Dispossessed. I haven't read Solaris by Stanislaw Lem, so that's a definite possibility. Vacuum Flowers is another one. I've read The Long Tomorrow, which I very much enjoyed. I haven't read Stand on Zanzibar. Okay, well, let's make that the 6th book. So I've got 2 Ballards, a Brunner, a Le Guin, a Swanwick and a Lem. So that's my 6 books, and I'll choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Dice of Destiny for shelf 17 is a 4. So book 4 on shelf 17 is not a Ballard. That was 1 and 2. It's not Zanzibar. That's 3. It's not Swanwick or Lem. It is, however, The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin. Another high number, shelf 56. Right, shelf 56 is the next one, which is entirely Alistair Reynolds. And I think I've read them all. I've been going through a gradual reread on audiobooks, and I think I'm going to leave those to be sort of picked off one by one as the mood takes me on audiobook, which means I'm going to take a mulligan. And the rules are that I must then pick a book from an author on my list of shame for this year. So who should I pick? Right, it's still the case that I haven't read any Jack Vance. I did have a pick from Jack Vance a month or 2 back, and I didn't get to it. I ran out of time for that month, so it went back on the shelf. I chose Star King at the time, but I actually was looking for The Big Planet, which is a book I thought I had but couldn't find, but I do have it. So I think I'm going to pick The Big Planet by Jack Vance. Shelf 19. So this is shelf 19, which is mainly Peter Hamilton. All of which I've read. Well, most of which I've read. Let's see if I can find 6 books I haven't read on here. Let's see. I could read a bit more of Trillion Spree. I tend to use that more as a reference book, but I could read a chunk of that. That would be good. I could read a bit more of the Space Opera Renaissance book. I've only read the introduction to that. I could add Cory Doctorow, so that's... And I could add Manhattan Reverse, which I haven't read, by Peter Hamilton. Okay, I'm just going to roll the dice for the 4 that I've chosen there, and let's see what happens, and I'll just ignore a 5 or 6 if I get it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. The Die of Destiny for shelf 19 is a 2. So it's not Trillinia Spree, it is Eastern Standard Tribe by Cory Doctorow. I haven't read anything by him, he's certainly opinionated. Alright, job's a good one. Shelf 18, how about that? 17, 18 and 19. So this is shelf 18, it's another good shelf. Plenty of choices here. Right, I could almost throw a dart at this shelf and find a great book that I haven't read, so it's going to be interesting. I haven't read Way Station by Simak. I haven't read Stapleton's Last and First Men, and nor have I read Star Maker. I think I probably prefer Star Maker. I have read Earth Abides, although it was a long while ago. Sturgeon's More Than Human would be a good choice, I think. Not really interested in Vonnegut, although I suppose I could give Slaughterhouse 5 a chance if it comes up. Where Late the Sweetbirds Sing I'd really like to read, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I need one more. I think I'm going to go with Ascent by Jed Mercurio. Let's see what comes up. Okay, the Dice of Destiny for shelf 18 is number 6. So it's not Simak, it's not Stapleton, it's not Sturgeon, it's not Vonnegut. That's quite a collection of names, isn't it? It's not the Late Birds, but it is Jed Mercurio's Ascent, which I believe is an alternative history of the space race. Okay, I'm going to do one more. Shelf 53, another high number. Right, this is shelf 53, and it's going to be a Ken MacLeod or Stephen Donaldson gig. So I haven't read The Sky Road, which is sort of the 4th in the Full Revolution books. I haven't read the recent Lightspeed trilogy. Beyond the Hallowed Sky is the first one of those. I haven't read the Corporation Wars book, the first one of which I think is Dissidents. So that's another possibility. So that's 3 possibilities. I would like to read Intrusion. So that's 4 Ken MacLeod books. And we'll go with Learning the World. That's another standalone. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 Ken MacLeod books. And then the next of the Stephen Donaldson books, which would be a reread for me, would be The Gap into Vision, Forbidden Knowledge. I read The Gap into Conflict, the real story, last year and enjoyed it. So that would be the next logical choice. And here is the Decision Die of Destiny for shelf 53, which is number 2. So it's the second of the Ken MacLeod books that I chose. Let's see. It's not Stephen Donaldson's Gap into Vision. It's not Intrusion or Learning the Void. It's not the first of the Corporation Wars books. It's not The Sky Road, which is the first book I chose. So it is Beyond the Hallowed Sky, which is the first of his most recent trilogy from the last 2 or 3 years. Excellent. Then I've got 2 readers' picks. I'm keen to read the new Adrian Tchaikovsky service model, although I've heard mixed things about it. So that's a definite possibility. And then for my second reader pick, I think I would like to read... I'm going to go with In Ascension, because it's just been nominated for the Arthur C. Clarke Award for last year. I think that's right. By Martin McInnes. Apparently very, very good. So I'm looking forward to reading that. I do have a couple of others of his that I'd like also to read. Gathering Evidence and Infinite Ground, but those will have to wait. So I'm going with his most acclaimed work to start with, In Ascension. I think there's a really nice mix of classics and some newer books and some in-betweenies that might be good, might not be good. Let's take a quick look through them and see what you think. So we've got Ursula K. Le Guin's The Dispossessed, a classic, and rightly so, I gather. I haven't read it. I'm really looking forward to reading it. I haven't read it enough. Ursula K. Le Guin. I've read the Earthsea books, but really nothing else. So I need to get stuck in some of her more acclaimed science fiction works. As far as I know, that's about the contrast between different political systems, a thinly veiled metaphor for the 1970s political scene in the US, I imagine. And then we've got, in no particular order, Jen Mercurio's Ascent. So Jen Mercurio is most famous in the UK for writing, doing the screenplay for In the Line of Fire. He's written a bunch of other TV programmes as well. I think I'm right in saying this is his first book. It's his second book, in fact. There is another work of his called Bodies. This, as far as I can tell, is an alternative history of the space race in which the Soviet Union is the in the Ascendants and gets the man on the moon first. And it is the story of a Soviet fighter pilot. It's the story of his progression through the ranks in the Soviet Space Force, or whatever the right terminology is for that. So I haven't read it. Allegedly, it's very good. Jed Mercurio's Ascent. Looking forward to that. Awesome. And then I took a mulligan on one of the shelves and I plucked from my list of shame, found it this time, The Big Planet by Jack Vance. It's a slender book, shouldn't take me very long to get through it. There are other books of his that I really like to read, The Dying Earth being one of them. I don't have a copy, so that's going to have to wait until I actually find one in the wild, probably. This is A Big Planet, so I'm intrigued by this because of recently reading Robert Silverberg's Lord Valentine's Castle, the first of the Madripoor books, because that is set on Madripoor, which is a big planet, and I think there are parallels probably to be had between the two. Been interesting contrast anyway. And then I was excited to have the Decision Dice of Destiny pick Ken MacLeod's Beyond the Hallowed Sky, which is the first of his recent Lightspeed trilogy. They're from the last few years. I think this was 2021 maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah, 21. I don't really know a great deal about it other than it's the discovery of lightspeed, faster than light travel and the implications thereof, and I think the timey-wimey implications of faster than light travel as well. And then a bit of a random selection, really. I'm not sure how keen I am really to read this. The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke, which I think is a sort of comet strike story in the vein of, say, Lucifer's Hammer by Larry Niven. Hammer of God is vintage Clarke, apparently superb storytelling, authentic science and wonderful vignettes of life in the 22nd century on Earth, the Moon, Mars and in space. So this was based on a short story called The Hammer of God, which appeared in 1992 in Time magazine, only the second piece of science fiction ever to appear, the first having been written by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, bizarrely. So we're in space and we detect an incoming asteroid or comet or something which is going to hit something important, presumably the Earth. I don't know. The Hammer of God. I do like a good disaster story. We all need a bit of apocalypse to spice things up, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we've got a book I know very little about, Cory Doctorow's Eastern Standard Tribe. He's very vocal on the kind of crapness of modern tech applications and the way that they're run and the threat he believes it poses to us as individuals and our individual rights. I've said it before, but he is an extremely prolific tweeter. For a spell I followed him and I had to mute him because of the just tirade of tweets. And this is sort of a 5 minutes in the future type tale, all too realistic, I suppose. I think it's a novel. Yeah, work of fiction. So it's from 20 years ago, so we'll see. I don't know if it's good, bad or ugly. We should find out. And then one that I'm really, really looking forward to is In Ascension by Martin McInnes, which was published to much acclaim last year. And I think I'm right in saying it's recently been awarded the Arthur C. Clarke Prize for Science Fiction this year in the novel category, obviously. It's a story of, I guess, the contrast between the depths of the ocean and something along the lines of the Marianas Trench and the discovery that was made there, and then the equal depths in outer space as well. So inner space, outer space kind of contrast. Allegedly beautifully written. I've not read anything by Martin McInnes, and I'm very much looking forward to getting stuck into that. Beautiful. My last choice in this pile here for August is Chris Beckett's Beneath the World, a Sea. Which is, aside from having a beautiful cover, it's set in the 90s, follows a British police officer who arrives in a mysterious forest to investigate a spate of killings of silent, vaguely humanoid creatures with long limbs and black button eyes, which have a strange psychic effect on people. Ben becomes fascinated by the duendes. I don't know if they're real or fictional things, I don't know. But the closer he gets, the more he begins to unravel with terrifying results. A tour de force of modern fiction. Deeply searching and unsettling novel about the human mind and all that lies beneath. I've only read his Eden trilogy books, which I really loved, so I'm going to be interested to read a book in a completely different setting back here on Earth. So those are my choices for August. What do you have planned? Do you have anything planned at all? Have you got anything earmarked on your list to read for August as it begins? Do let me know. Otherwise, as always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.